What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a classic late night upload talking about my first time doing Vicodin. Hope you guys do enjoy this video. Drop a like if you do. Also, I do want to mention real quick that I know I'm going to get a lot of comments saying this is really similar to my first time doing Hydros video. Reason being, Vicodin and Hydros are the same thing. They're basically the same thing. It's just a different brand. But I figured I would share this experience because, well, it's different, different medication. Some people might not know that Vicodin is hydrocodone, but either way, we'll get into that later. So hope you guys enjoy. Drop a like if you do, and let's dive into it. Now, for those of you guys who have been around the channel for a long time, I haven't made a first time video in a long time. And let me tell you guys, there are still a few out there lingering that I have yet to make. There's not... I feel like my first time smoking crack was probably my craziest one. Like, I don't have any stuff that's quite up to that tier, but I still have some first time videos of some wacky, wild things that you guys can expect. So, I figured this would be a nice little surprise because I didn't really tell people I had this story waiting, but either way, it's a hoot. So this happened a long fucking time ago, guys. I'm talking oh God, maybe a little over a year and a half ago, I think. No, it was less than a year and a half ago. It was actually, I know it was 2016. I know for a fact because I'd gone to the alternative school at this point. But had I gotten out of that school, or was I close to the end? Fuck, dude. I barely remember, my entire time at that school. But I'm pretty sure it was, the end of April, beginning of May. Right before I went into the psych ward, for those of you guys who remember that little stint on my channel. But either way... So, I'm sitting here, I'm having my normal day, and my normal days at this point in my life just consisted of smoking a bunch of weed and maybe doing some other drugs. That was my game plan every single day I woke up. And at this point, I'd done hydros, I'd done, some painkillers. I believe I'd even done the oxys at this point, if I do remember correctly. So I had some experience with opiates and painkillers and all that, and I was familiar with what Vicodin was and yada yada. And on this particular day, I didn't know that I was going to be doing this day. I didn't wake up and be like, oh, today's Vicodin day, boys. Let's go, boys. It's Vicodin Thursday. Let's go, or whatever fucking day of the week it was. I don't know. Something just kind of happened. I went to school. It was a normal day. I got out of school. And, typically when I got out of school, I do one of three things. I'd either kick it with Ashton and we do some hard-ass drugs. We either do, acid, K, coke, some bullshit that we shouldn't have been doing. I'd go kick it with Chris where we just smoke a bunch of weed and occasionally do some other drugs. Maybe pop some pills every here and there, whether it was, in today's instance, Vicodin or Xans or, that's actually really the only two pills I ever did with Chris, but... I made it sound like a lot more, but, either those two things or we drink. And, third option, I'd go home and just face a blunt. That was my third option. And on this day, Ashton had shit to do. I still wanted to go out. I didn't really want to go home. So I kicked it with my boy, Chris. Now, for those of you guys who have been around the channel, Chris is my boy. That's my guy. We've been homies for a long time. And... his brother is a solid-ass connect of mine. He always has random things. The one thing he always has for sure is weed. But then he'll also have, other little mystery items. It's you remember that dog dude on Webkins who would sell the, mystery shit? The curio shop or whatever? And, you get hype as hell trying to get that icy-ass item that you were going for as a little kid. He was like that guy. He was like the curio dude on Webkins. He just pulled up with the iciest, most random ass shit every day, and it was just fire. So either way, on this particular day, school's out, I go to his house, I'm chilling there. I wanted to pick up a little bit of weed just to smoke, not much. I asked him how much for a quad. He gave me the price. I threw him the bread, and he was like, oh. And I was like, what? And, whenever he's he never mentions that he has extra things, nor does Chris, his brother, until I get there and I'm, mid getting served. He'll mention, when he's already handing me my bag and I've given him my money, he's like, oh, by the way, I have this, and then I'll be like, oh my. So, on this particular day, he tossed me my bag. And he's like, you want any pills? He was like, I know you fuck with that. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, I got Vicodin. And this intrigued me. This interested me because I wasn't big on opiates, but I was also at a time in my life where like I was trying a lot of drugs. I was starting to become less like hesitant of trying new drugs and more like curious to try new drugs. So, I was interested, and I knew that Vicodins were basically the same as Hydros. I'd heard about it, but Vicodins also weren't common, and I figured, Vicodin just has that reputation. When someone says they pop Vicodin and when someone says they pop Hydros, it's like they're the same drug, but it's almost like they're saying two entirely different things, if that makes sense. Like, when you hear Vicodin, you're like, oh, that shit fucks you up. When you hear Hydros, you're just like, oh, that's boof. Or you're like, oh, that's retarded. Like, I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't like that, but that's how it is, for me at least. And, just because of that fact alone, I was like, all right, I'll fold. I'll fold. I'll do it. Let's go. So, he ends up telling me that he had some 7.5s, and I didn't really know dosage on Vicodin very well. I didn't know if I should take, the same amount I would as Hydros or like what I was supposed to be doing, because with Hydros, you could take a pretty low dosage, like milligram wise, and still feel pretty good. With Vicodin, I didn't really know. I had no idea. So I figured if I got 3 of them, I'd be okay. I figured, if a normal person was prescribed to take 1 of those, if they took 2 more, there's no way it would do any long-lasting damage, because, like, I don't know, there's just no way it would fuck you up so badly. I didn't believe it. So I was like, all right, 3 sounds like a safe enough number. So, I ended up throwing them the money for them. They were pretty fucking cheap. I don't remember. All I know is that I think I had, like, maybe less than I think I had like $15 left, even less, and I got them. I think I even had some change left over, but I don't remember the exact price he charged for them because I never bought them again. But either way, he throws me the 3, and I don't really know what I expected, but I was like thrown off by the fact that they were just these plain ass pills. Like, I don't know why I expected something more, but when I finally got them, I was just like, oh, this is boring. Like, this looks like my fucking like melatonin, dude. Like, this looks like fucking Tylenol, dude. This looks like, I don't even know, dude. It just looked boring. It looked like a white Smartie, the ugly flavor that no one wants. That one, dude. It looks like the white Smartie, the like cream one, whatever the fuck that shit is, dude. I don't know, the weird Smartie. But either way, I'm looking at it, and it's, it doesn't look like a Smartie shape wise. It's like a little oval thing. It's kind of like a, oh God, what pill is it? I don't know. I don't want to think that hard right now. But either way, it was like a little plain boring oval. And right there on there, it said that 7.5, and then it also said another number. That was 300. I believe it was 300. I know it was in the 300s. I'm almost certain it was 300. And I later came to find out that was acetaminophen, or however the fuck you say it, because every time I say this in a video, everyone cyberbullies me in the fucking comments about my pronunciation. So, however the hell you say it, that shit that kills your organs, that starts with an A, y'all know what I'm talking about. That was the 300. But at the time, I didn't know. At the time, I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means, but bet. All right, whatever. Fuck it, let's go. So, what I ended up doing was I was chilling with Chris. I asked Chris about him. I was like, yo, have you ever popped these? And he was like, no, I don't fuck with pills like that, really. So I was like, all right, that's interesting, I guess. And I later came to find out, like, he eventually did do Vicodins. Like, he didn't really answer my question fully. I don't think he heard me right. Maybe he was high as fuck. I tried to ask him if he'd ever done it. And I think he took it as, like, do you want to do some? And then he just said, no, I don't fuck with them like that. But I knew for a fact that he'd taken them, because he'd taken like Narcos and Perkies and all that shit. So like I knew like this guy's probably fucked around with some Vicodin too. If his brother has it. Like this guy's done Narcos, Perkies, all that shit. Like come on, dude. How do you do Narcos and Perkies but not a Vicodin? Like, huh? That doesn't make sense. But either way, I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, shit then. I don't know. Is this like a good dose? And he was like, yeah, bro, you should be good. It's only 3 of them. So that's a terrible way to look at it, by the way. For all of you guys watching out there, don't do the things I do. That's a terrible fucking way to dose yourself. Just look at it. Just be like, nah, it's only 3 of them. I should be Gucci. You just pop 3 fucking gram bags of fentanyl and just shit your pants. Like, no, it's a terrible way to live. So either way, What I ended up doing was I smoked a quick blunt with Chris, and I decided, fuck it, I'm gonna pop all three. I just wanted to go head first right into it, because whenever I was with Chris, I was on my reckless shit. I was back on my bullshit once again, boys. So, either way, I ended up smoking the blunt with him. I popped all three, and I just kind of sat around. I just waited for it. I was like, all right, we're gonna see how this goes. Because this was, interestingly enough, also one of the very few times that I did opiates where I was like out in a social setting. Like, I'd normally done opiates on my own. That's what I do. I'd always just sit at home, and whenever I did like hydros or any of that kind of shit, I would just do it alone for the most part, But this time I was in a social setting. I was out. I was with the boys. I was smoking blunts. So I popped all three of them. We chilled. We played some PlayStation. We sat and talked, smoked some cigarettes, watched some TV, just the normal bull activities. And maybe like, I want to say 30 minutes in, it might have been, I want to say it was about 30 minutes in, I believe, is when I really started feeling different, and like I mentioned earlier, I don't encourage anyone to do this, but I felt fucking great. I truly did. I was sitting there, and I was already pretty baked. We smoked a pretty good blunt, and it was some new weed, so I was feeling pretty baked, and I almost felt like as if the seat I was sitting in, I was sitting in one of those little like rolly office chairs that he just had in his garage. I felt like it just got like extra padding on it all of a sudden. Like, it just got softer. It's like the back on it and the seat just like switched to like a Tempur-Pedic, a Tempur-Pedic mattress or some shit, or like a feather pillow or some shit. I don't know, just some comfy fucking shit. And I'm sitting there, and that's the first thing I noticed. Just, I felt very, very, I don't want to say relaxed, just very stuck almost, but in a good way. It was like stuck as in like, I don't want to get up. This feels amazing. It's like when you first get into a hot tub and you're sore as fuck and all of that. Feels great. It's like when you haven't gotten your dick sucked in like 10 years and, some girl like winks at you for the first time. It felt like that. It was good. So, either way, I'm sitting there and I'm just like sinking into this chair. I'm not sliding down or anything. I'm just, in my head, and how I feel like I'm literally getting consumed by this chair. I'm just sitting there. I don't want to fucking move. And we're playing some PlayStation, and, finally the PlayStation like turned off. I didn't even really process it. I was just looking around the garage, just chilling. Like, I wasn't having any visual stuff. I wasn't looking around because I was seeing things. I was just looking around because, I don't know, I just wasn't thinking. I didn't want to do anything that required thought. I just wanted to sit there and just glance, just look around, just appreciate stuff, just hang out. And all of a sudden, apparently I got lost in my looking around. All of a sudden, Chris sparks up a blunt, and I'm like, wait a minute, we have more weed? I forgot. I remember this. I remember I said this to him. This is the exact words I said to him. He sparks up the blunt, and I turn to him, and I'm still like stuck in this chair. Like, I haven't moved a muscle. I literally just turned the chair, and I look at him, and I'm just like, wait a minute, bro. We have more fucking weed? And he just started laughing. He was geeking. He was like, how you feeling, bro? And I was like, I feel good. I just said it like such a retard. I was just like, I feel good. I feel pretty good, like just sounded like a fucking idiot. And he's geeking. He sparks the blunt. He only took like 1 or 2 hits, and he was like, here, bro, you need this right now. You're going to love this. So, he passes me the blunt. And the weird thing is, even though I'd done hydros before and it was similar to this, I don't know if it was like a placebo effect or if it was something, in the drug or something. I don't know. I felt almost like it was like hydros, but on the next level almost. It was like it's like when you think of hydros, for those of you who have done them, it's like everything you imagined them to be going into it. It's like what you imagined the hydros would be. That's what the Vicodin is, but that's also a very dangerous thing. It's also a bad thing in a lot of ways, which maybe I'll get to later. But either way, he passes me this blunt, and I'm hitting it so slow. I'm actually sitting on it. I'm like that one dickhead in the roto who just sits on the blunt and doesn't hit it and wastes smoke at this point, I smacked it, and I sat there just like watching myself slowly exhale the smoke and watching how cool it looked, like rising up. Like, I was just sitting there just puffing on this thing, just watching the smoke like slowly rise. And it was just so cool to watch. And I took these slow, long ass hits, and finally I pass it back to Chris. He smacks it. We get like the normal roto back going, but I'm still jagging on it. This blunt was done, and I swear to God, I took like maybe 6 or 7 hits. Like, if even. Like, I was just sitting on that shit, and Chris didn't even say nothing. He didn't give a fuck. He knew where I was coming from, because he'd done all that shit. Plus, him and I, it's like, we don't really care about wasting our weed as much unless we're with like strangers, because like we just always smoke each other out. Like, we don't even like bother counting like or scaling like how much we're rolling. Like, we'll just stuff some weed in a blunt and get to it. That's just kind of like the kind of friends we are. But either way, I'm sitting there smoking this blunt, just looking at it. And the thing is, typically in these videos I describe a lot of the more mental aspects of whatever drug I'm doing, but in this one in particular, there wasn't really much mental things that stood out. It was more the physical part of it. It was more that feeling of just being just like sedated, almost just like almost like tranquilized, but not really, because that sounds like bad. Like, it wasn't like an uncomfortable tranquilizer. It was like if you wanted to get tranquilized and you were excited for it. It was that kind of thing. So excuse me there, I just like burped a little bit. But either way, I'm sitting there, I'm smoking this blunt, and I'd just gotten out of school. I had school the next morning, but I didn't really want to get up to drive home. Honestly, I was so dumb at this point, I probably would have driven home, but I didn't want to stand up. What I ended up doing was, after we smoked this blunt, we kicked it. We did the same thing as before, played some PlayStation, chilled out. Then we packed a bowl. He had this new little bubbler that he got, and it was cold. It was nice, let me tell you. The bubbler really knocked me out. That KO'd me. And the thing is, I didn't even really feel much from the weed while I was on these. I more just felt more relaxed. But I didn't feel high. I didn't feel stoned. I just felt blank. I just felt like mush almost. But either way, eventually what I ended up doing was, he has a couch on his garage. I just laid down on the leather-ass couch and just slept for a couple hours. I literally just knocked out for like 2-3 hours. I woke up, and I was still feeling it a little bit, but like I'd kind of came to. Like, sleeping definitely helped me. And this is the thing, guys. Okay, this is the thing. Listen, if you take opiates, don't sleep. Don't fucking sleep on opiates. Like, what I did was brain dead. That's fucking retarded. Don't sleep on opiates. That's dangerous as shit. I needed to throw that part in, but it really is. Like, this was a dumbass decision of me. And honestly, I mean, I don't know, dude. It was just a stupid decision. But either way, I knocked out on Chris's couch, and I woke up a couple hours later, and I was just chilling. He was like, "Oh shit, there you are." He was like, "Oh, what's good? You're back awake now." And he was kind of laughing a little bit, and I was like, "Shit, bro." And I felt a little more sober, and I looked at the time, and I was like, "What the fuck? Like, what have we been doing?" And it's like, "Dude, you knocked the fuck out." And I was just like, "Oh, okay." Okay. So after that, I got up, I grabbed my stuff. It was getting late, and I kind of had to dip. So, I shook up with Chris. I went back home, and I was still feeling it a little bit, but definitely not nearly as intensely as I was before. Even just this small nap definitely really knocked it out of the park. I really got rid of it. But I don't ever encourage doing that. Don't sleep on any opiate, or mainly, except for weed, like really any drug in general, you probably shouldn't sleep on. But weed in particular, or no, not weed. Weed's okay, but like opiates in particular are god awful to sleep on. Such a stupid fucking idea of mine. But either way, I went back home, and after that, I just knocked out for the night. Honestly, I sat around. I think I grabbed like something to drink and like a little snack, like a donut or some shit, and I just knocked the fuck out. I just went up to bed and KO'd myself. It was over. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.